What's up and happy Wednesday to everybody. Not bad day here. Had some thunderstorms earlier in the day, but it's nice and sunny right now. And great day for real estate. Despite what you've been told about South Florida, it is a great day for real estate in the South Florida marketplace. So I'm going to have to take a step back today. I've had a lot of people email me and text me and message me and say, Barry, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. How is it? I mean, and I'm directly speaking to what I began talking about this week, how you should learn how to invest instead of protest. How equity will always trump equality. We're already equal. Whether you believe it or not, I'm not here to debate that. I know that nobody is better than I am. I know that I am not better than anybody else. We are all equal. The difference in what sets us apart is equity. What do we have to show for our time here breathing oxygen? What have we been doing? Nobody can take equity away from you. Well, I guess the IRS can if you don't pay your bills. But other than that, you build your equity. You don't have to demand it. You don't have to fight for it. So we're going to talk about a deal and how I structure my initial deal, how I can tell whether a deal is worth pursuing, because I have a lot of people go, how do I even start? So I'm going to do that today. But first, as always, we're going to go to the board and just show some people the reality of the COVID market here in Florida. Let me refresh so you know that I'm looking at the most relevant and recent data. I hate when people try to tell me that I'm fudging numbers. Again, these are the actual numbers from the Florida Department of Health. If you choose not to believe them, that's on you, not on me. I'm only reporting the actual data here, unlike the BS you hear in the media every single day, 24/7, about how the sky is falling here in South Florida. So, this is the most recent data. And as you can see, and I don't need to move my head here because we had a spike. Yesterday we had 10,000 cases. The day before we had 7,300. The day before that, 9,900. Might as well say 10. And then the day before that, we had 11,406. So 11, 10, that's 21, 27, 34, and another 10, 44,000 cases in the last 4 or 5 days. Man, that's kind of rough, isn't it? Except they don't tell you what's coming next. And you guys know what's coming next because if you've watched this show, you know what's coming next. And what's coming next is the real data that we should be aware of. Look at that. I got to move my head. Look at that. The deaths have fallen off the chart. This is the actual data. It's put out here live every day at 11 a.m. by the Florida Department of Health. And this is it. This is the data. And as you can see, we had 9 people die. Yesterday, since we talked, I think it was like 7. So 13 more deaths have been attributed to July 6th and on, 18, 21, 30, 40. So you can see what the data is here. There's nothing to be alarmed about. We're talking about 10 people. Maybe by tomorrow it'll go to 20 or 25 or even 50. God forbid it goes to 50 people. And if it goes to 50 people, I can't even imagine to do. I'd have to pull out the calculator to find out what the calculation is of those people who died. And I'm not going to go into whether they died with COVID or because of COVID. But I'm just saying, let's just go with the actual numbers. I'm not going to dig in any deeper. Not going to engage with any conspiracy theorists about how the numbers are being suppressed. We got to get the kids to school in August and September. We got to get players on the football field in August and September. NFL, if you guys want to play around and be worried, I don't care. I'm done with you guys anyway. NBA, I could care less. Baseball, you're almost there. You're almost to the point where I'm like, yeah, so what? My big thing is college football. Get the kids on the field. It's time to get ready to go back to work. I'm tired of this illusion that's being played. I'm tired of it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh man, this could be pretty cool for business because, yikes, it's kind of double-edged sword. I'm going to get into that. So, remember yesterday when I talked about this proposal by this insane senator in New York? Thankfully, he's not a U.S. senator. He's a state senator in New York City. And what he wants to do is he wants to basically take a stand against inequality. There we go again. Inequality. He's not talking about equity. He's talking about equality. He's fighting to be equal. If you understand, if you're fighting to be equal, you're already submitting that you're not. Just think about that. If I'm going to fight on a playing field to say, hey, listen, I want to be equal to you, I'm already admitting that I'm not. You can't fight for something if you're already there. I'm already equal to you. I don't have to fight for that. I already know that I'm equal to you. This guy wants to fight for equality. And in his mind, fighting for equality is to nix all evictions for an entire year. He doesn't want anybody to have to pay their rent and mortgage for an entire year. That makes no sense. What is the landlord supposed to do? The landlord may not be some big conglomerate with 500 units. He might just be a guy with a duplex or a triplex. And what's he going to do? She, he, Z, they, whatever. Just say, hey, listen, hey, Mr. Bank, we're not going to pay my mortgage. Why? Because these people said we don't have to pay for a year. Tell me how that works out. Tell me how that works out. Unless there's some sort of government program that says we're going to pay everybody's mortgage for a year, I can damn guarantee you there's not a bank out there that's going to say take the year off from the payments. Not going to happen. So what's going to happen? What exactly is going to happen? I remember a few shows back, I had talked and said that nobody had a crystal ball. I mentioned that we were in no man's land here. We had never seen this kind of thing with the COVID. And anyone who told you that they knew what was coming didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I did an interview last week with Chris Griffith over in the Fort Myers area. And actually, she's in Bonita Springs. And we talked about what's going to happen with the market. And we both said, there's no way we're going to know. We don't know what's coming in the future. We have no idea where things are headed. We don't know because none of us can. We all can prognosticate, but we just don't know. Do we have a crystal ball? Well, here it is on July 7th, 8th. And I'm telling you, I think I'm beginning to see the crystal ball. I think I'm beginning to see what's going on here. Politically, it is not prudent for one side to let the economy go forward. It's just not prudent. They need to do something to stop one candidate, and there's things that are going on to make sure that happens. And one of those is to make sure kids don't go back to school. Another one is to make sure people stay poor, or not stay poor, but lose money and can't pay their rent or mortgage. So the crystal ball is now becoming more and more clear. And this came out Dateline today. 32% of United States households missed their July housing payment. A third. Get in a room with 10 people. 3 out of those 10 people did not pay their mortgage or rent in the United States. The entire country. Think about that for right now. Just think about that. That 32% of people in America did not make their July payment. That is absolutely terrifying for some people. If you don't know what you're doing, that's probably really, really scary as a real estate investor. It's probably terrifying a lot of people, and I just can't wait because now I have a crystal ball. I see what's coming. If you don't see what's coming, go ahead and send me a message or give me a call and I'll help you out. But it's becoming quite apparent what is happening in America right now. if 32% of people are not going to be able to pay, and I don't know if we should say not able, perhaps these people just aren't paying. Perhaps people have just said to heck with it and they're not going to pay. And if you look further in this article here, it said about 19% made no housing payment at all, and 13% paid a portion of the rent or mortgage. But here's the winning paragraph. Here's my crystal ball. Here's where I'm looking into the future. Can you guys see that? Okay. That's the fourth month in a row where there's been a historically high number of households who are unable, and I'll say unwilling because we don't know, to pay their housing bill on time and in full, up from 30% in June and 31% in May. Renters, low-income, and younger households were most likely to miss their payments. Think about that. Just dwell on that for a second while I take a sip. You're going to need to think about that. So what we're seeing is, this is the fourth month in a row, a list pendants, which is filed when someone can't pay their mortgage, takes a couple months to work through. An eviction takes a couple months to work through. All these moratoriums on evictions did not abate, meaning it didn't make the mortgage payment, didn't make the rental payments go away. They're still accruing. The meter on that taxi is still running. Think about that. That meter's still running. So you haven't paid for 4 months. Meter's still running. We're into month 5. Late payments, fees, all kinds of things are accruing. Do you think those people are going to be able to catch up? Or are they going to leave? Okay, now I'm seeing the crystal ball. I'm seeing what lies ahead. It tells me to start looking for some deals. It's telling me to begin getting ready. I mean, I think we can all see that, can't we? What crystal ball do you have? What's telling you otherwise? But at the same time, I know people are like, Barry, I just don't get it. I don't understand how you're going to buy these properties and rent them out and expect to make money if people aren't paying their bills. Remember what's happening right now. I'm going to say this on July 8th. This is all about money and a redistribution of wealth. If you don't know where things are headed, and I'm telling you right now, excuse me, it doesn't matter if you're on the left or on the right. Everybody involved in real estate is going to be eating from the same trough. Everybody that knows what's going on is going to be okay. Those of you who don't, and wondering why people aren't paying their loans and mortgages and rent and everything else, you're going to be stuck. Because there's a way out there right now to be making a gold mine in real estate. I'll talk about that next week. Maybe I don't know if I should give that away. That's going to be a tough one. I don't know. It's one of those things where if people understood and knew the nuances of the market, they may see this kind of stuff. And in every bit of chaos, there is a immense opportunity. There's a profit-making opportunity here, and you just have to understand how to do it. It's right there in front of you. And so today I'm on Twitter, as I often am, and a few of my buddies that I converse with are talking about what's going on in real estate. And again, this is more crystal ball stuff to me. And I see a tweet here by Mr. Scott Adams, and what he says is that 3 of my friends have already moved to red states. Most people. Most. Didn't say a few. Most people are at least considering it. This is a guy with, let's see here, 500,000 followers. Extremely popular on Twitter. He sees the data. Most people are at least considering it. Think about that. if a lot of people or most people are considering moving to a red state, what's going to happen in the next couple of months? We already know that the people who can't afford to pay the rent or are unwilling to pay the rent, they're going to get evicted. What's displacement going to look like? Where's the opportunity? Well, the opportunity, one, is to get ready to accept the refugees. The refugees from New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey. Another buddy of mine posted this on Twitter. And he said up where he lives in Wilmington area of North Carolina, it's inundated with people looking at homes from blue states right now. New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut plates are all over town. Yeah, it's an exodus. And to myself, because if I put my hat on, my tinfoil hat, I think that there's a movement afoot to make Florida look bad for two reasons. One, politically. Secondly, to keep people from running down here from Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts. They have to make things look dire in Texas and Florida for political purposes, but also to keep their tax base in place. Except we're on the ground. We all see it. It's no news to us. We're actually seeing it. We see it here in Boca. They're seeing it in North Carolina. Scott, wherever he lives, he's seeing it. People are looking to move. So what are you doing to take advantage of this and be ready? Well, next week I'm going to share the gold mine with you, but I'm going to share something with you because people ask me, how do I look at a deal? So let me jump to that. So every day I'm on a bunch of different email lists, and I get things like this sent to me, and it's like, Barry, here's a property we'd like you to look at. This property here is on 1500 Northeast 49th Street in Oakland Park. It's 300. It's a 3.2. It meets most of my criteria. My criteria is I want to make sure a house is at least a 3.2. I want to make sure it's at least 1,500 square feet. I'll tell you why next week and why that's so important. My criteria, I want at least 1,500 square feet of living area, and I want 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. So that kind of works, but this price kind of makes me wonder. I mean, it's a little on the high end for what I would like to do as a rental. I don't think I could rent that out for $3,000 a month. I probably could. We'll see. I could do some search. But what I want to do first, and I want to make sure you guys know this, is that whenever you do a deal, no matter if it's for a duplex, a single family home, 10 units, 20 units, whatever, you make your money when you buy. You have to know firsthand that if you do a deal, when you sell it or when you rent it, you're going to be able to meet the numbers that you want to meet. So if you're going to rent it, you have to know that the cash flow is going to be there, that your expenses, repairs, and everything else. And going in, what I try to do, because I look at so many deals. I got this one I want to show you. I have this one here I want to show you. But let me show you first, because what I first want to do is I want to eliminate a deal from contention. I want to eliminate it very quickly. So let's look at this. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. I'm going to go ahead and show you what I would do initially. I blow this up, and I'm looking at it. It says price reduced. It already tells me that it's been on the market and they've been trying to sell it. All this stuff here doesn't really matter to me. I can look at some quick pictures. Here's some pictures and details it's going to give me. If this opens up, and I can see, you guys can see it. Okay, so here are the pictures. That's the outside exterior, the side, and some sort of pad back here. Bad sprinklering is discoloring the concrete. And it looks like it was already a investor property. Kind of clean. Not a lot of work to do, if any. Looks move-in ready, which makes me wonder, well, why did they do something with it? But we're going to see real quick here. So anyway, nice kitchen. They've redone the kitchen. Tile floor. So it's tenant ready. New hot water heater. Cheap bathroom. So this is definitely a rental ready property. There's an addition here, so I would look to make sure that that addition was done under code and permitted. Otherwise, that could be a problem. And I'll show you where to look that too. So this property is in Oakland Park, Florida. It's 1500 Northeast 49th Street. So let's go ahead and look at some more information here. So I'm going to go over to a site called the Broward County Property Appraiser. And what this is going to do is allow me to do some really quick due diligence just to see if I even want to spend any time on this property. So in my browser here, I can see it's 1500 Northeast 49th Street. So I'm just going to put that in here, 1500, and I'll put 49. I don't need to put a whole lot of stuff in the criteria. And I know it's this one. I know it's 1500 Northeast 49th Street. Let me blow this up so you guys can see this. Okay, so what this tells me right off the bat, it's an investor property. This property was bought by an investor. He's already fixed it up. Red flag number one. I don't want to work on a daisy chain. I don't want to come in and clean up your mess. So that's red flag number one. So let me move in here. We're going to look at the property. This company is basically out of Texas. This might be a bank-owned property. That might put it back into contention. Look at this. The assessed value. The assessed value is $358. Remember what he's asking for? He's asking for $298. That's something that's something to look at. So they've got my interest now, because when you can find a property being sold below the assessed value, there might be something there. So I'm going to scroll down further, and here it gives me the history of how people bought the property. So in 2013, somebody bought this property. Let me blow this up even more. Somebody bought this property for $242,000. Then in 2014, we have a special warranty deed transfer. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. I'll show you exactly what I do. I look in here, and it gives me all the information I need to know, and I can see that it was basically transferred from one LP limited partnership to an LLC, and it gives me all the information here. Special warranty deed, Delaware limited liability limited partnership to another Delaware limited partnership. That's a bank. Just telling you, that's a bank. It's a bank, a hedge fund, something. That's not a regular investor. No investor I know does a Delaware limited liability company. So I've got my interest up here. So let me just go here, and now I want to see, put this address in, and I'm doing this for the benefit of you guys who don't have access to the MLS. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and open up another window, and I'm going to search this address in Google and see if it's listed. Because I got the email from an investor. This is the email I got from an investor. You never trust an investor. You don't know if they're daisy chaining it, meaning just putting out the email hoping to get a bite. I don't know if this person who sent the email actually owns it, but this is going to tell me if this property is listed. So Zillow has the estimate of this property at $322 with an estimated payment of $15.99. So I know right off the bat the rent's way more than that, so this could be covered. And down here I see it's a pending offer, but I also see it was on Zillow for 251 days. So here's what happened. It's got a pending offer. They were asking $334. So how could this guy today be asking me for $298? Because he's already put an offer in. He's tied up the property, and he's trying to see if he can make a quick buck. He'll sell it to me. He'll say $298. He's got to have the contract. I'd say somewhere at about probably $290, so he can make a quick $8,000 if I were to jump on his $298. So this property is pending. Right now, I'm not going to spend too much more time on it. I would just let it sit aside. That's telling me it's listed. I'm sure in here they probably got an MLS number somewhere. Let's see if we can find one. Okay, so it's pending sale at 334. It just went pending on 625. That's typical investor stuff. Looks like they've been dropping the property for a while. In October of 2019, it was listed for 395, 388, 371. You can see it's dropping as we go. And so I know now that this is a property that's been on the market for quite some time, since October of 2019. So this is real time. I've just given you all this data on how to put the anatomy together to see if you even want to take a look at this deal. I see that they dropped the price from $395 to $334. They dropped it $60,000 in a couple months, hoping to sell it. Maybe it's not worth that. Who knows? But that's where we are right now. So I'm going to go further down. I can see what the taxes are on the property. Taxes are $7,800. If I wanted to see if they were paid, I'll show you that, by the way. So anyway, here's all the information on this property. If I go backwards and I find this on realtor.com, which I do right here, realtor.com is going to confirm to me that this property is actually listed. I'm going to scroll down here, and down here it'll give me an MLS number. If I go further, where the hell is it? Because it'll give me the guy's name too. Here it is, right here. Boom. So now I have an MLS listing. Oh, my head's in the way. Let me move that. Now I have an MLS listing right there. I can see who the broker is. I can see who he works for, and I can get in touch with him directly, or have my agent, wink, 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 my agent get a hold of him and find out what's going on. So now I do not have to deal with this investor. That quick, I've cut him out. He's gone. Thanks for the lead. Bye. So I know I can get it for at least $298. I know he's in it to make some money, so he's probably got 8 or 10 grand into it. So I know he's probably at about $290. And what's going to happen is, in a week or two, after he's gone past his due diligence date, this property is going to fall back to an active status, which I know now because I went through the whole Zillow thing. I can see that they have gone for months not being able to sell this property. Here's a history. Where was it? But anyway, right here. Okay. So I know that October 30th, they put this house on the market for $395, and here it is, June 25th, they've dropped it $60,000. They want to get rid of this property. I know this now. I've looked at the records. I can see who bought it. I know what they're doing. They need to get rid of this property. But is it worth it? So without you guys having access to the MLS, the first thing you want to be able to do is to do a quick comparable analysis. Again, I've been into this for 10 minutes or so, and this is just the stuff I do initially to see if there's a deal for me to even look at. So I told you, first of all, I like the idea that it's priced well below assessed value. That's just one indicator. Oh, I mentioned to you the tax. So if I click this button here, it'll tell me the billing history on the taxes, and I can see that the taxes were paid, all 7,500 of it were paid on November 26th. You see how this works? If you know what you're looking, how fast you can look at a deal. So I know that there's not going to be a huge tax bill or anything like that. Then, you could do more by looking at the code violations, things like that. But so right now, I know this is an absentee owner, probably a bank or holding company formed in Delaware, that's been trying to sell a property for 6 months, has dropped their price $60,000 for a 3-2 in Oakland Park. So now I have to just see real quickly, is this property, what's a comparable value for this property? And now, again, without going to the MLS or anything like that, I'm just going to go down here, and I'm going to click this button here that says Search Subdivision Sales. Now, when I click this button, I'm going to look for properties that have sold within the last 6 months at max. If I have to go back a little bit to establish a comp base. But this property is 1,800 square feet. The guy did give me the information correctly. He's pulled it from the tax records. So now I just need to find out what are properties there selling for? So I click here, and here are all the different properties that have sold in this subdivision. So it's close proximity. In this subdivision, these properties are close. This is North 15 and 49. So I'm going to go back in here, and where am I? Okay, and I can see this property sold at $400,000. This one here, a quick claim deed, sold in May for $517,000. This one, 46th Street, sold at $550,000. This one here on 47th Court sold at $415,000, and then this one on 15th Terrace sold for $567,000. So what information do I have right now? I have to look at these properties and make sure that they're the same size and everything else, but let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to do that real quick and do this one. That's at $517,000, and I'll do this one at $550,000, and I'll do this one at $415,000, and I'll do this one at $567,000. Those are the most recent. It's December. I don't want to go back further than December. That's about that 6-month window. Okay, first one is 1578. My property, the target property, is 1875. So the target property is worth more than this one. Are you seeing that? More than this one. This is the one that sold at $400,000. So I know right now that that this subject property is worth more than $400,000 because I was able to just determine the square footage. So let's go to the next one. This is at 4821 Northeast 15th Terrace. Square footage, this one's bigger. So you got to watch out here. This one's bigger, and you'd have to make an adjustment. So this one here we see sold at $517,000. You'd have to do a division real quick and see what the square footage. I can also see there's an extra bedroom, so I'm not going to even look at this one. This one's too high. You see how I just discounted that one? Boom. That's not one of the ones I want to look at. This one here is 1810 Northeast 46th Street. I look at the square footage. Boom. 3.2. Yes, this one works. So this one here, 1310 Northeast 46th Street. This one sold for $550,000. So now I've got a $550,000 sale and I've got a $400,000 sale. And then the last one I want to look at, what's this one? This was 4731 Northeast 15th Terrace. Smaller than the house I'm looking at. I go back to that one, 4731, and it's $567,000. So I have a $567,000 closed. I have a $415,000. I have a $550,000. That's the one we're going to throw out. So this property has the initial looking like it's a deal. If I can get this property for $280,000, $270,000, and I've seen the pictures and it doesn't look like it needs much, I'm looking at about $100,000 spread. Now do you understand how this is done? Now do you see how you can build equity? I spent 15 minutes, tops, and just shows you how to look at a deal. Now, obviously, there's a lot more to it that I'm going to dig into because I'm going to go after this thing. And so now it's got my interest. Now the numbers make sense. Now the numbers are telling me, hey, listen, Barry, ding, 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 ding. This is something you need to look at. This is a property right now that you need to take a look at because the numbers on the surface work. They just do. So the second step, and which I'll go over tomorrow, is what do you do in stage 2? Because this was just stage 1. You're not going to spend, a $500,000 investment on a 15 minutes of due diligence. There's a process that you have to go through to actually go from here to now looking, and it doesn't take long. It takes me, when I see a deal that makes sense like this, it can take me about 45 minutes to an hour. Once I do all my due diligence, I check the code violations, I already checked the taxes, I checked the permitting to make sure everything was done on the property. I'll get in my car, I'll drive to it, take a look at it, make sure it doesn't need any extra work. I'll get my agent to get the keys so we can go in and do a quick run through. I do all that. That'll happen tomorrow. If the numbers work tonight, tomorrow we will be at that house. If the numbers work tonight, I'll go ahead and make a video and show you us at that house. Then at that point, after I have all my numbers, after I have all my data, after I've kicked the tires and gone and looked at this property, then and only then will I make the phone call to that agent to see what's going on with this property. And I already know he's going to tell me, oh, I got an offer. Cool. You've had the property for 6 months. What's going on with it? And I just listen to what he says. And then I'll fire out an offer. I'll fire out an offer on this property, and if it gets accepted, it gets sent to my attorney. They start looking at it. But what you just saw very quickly is what happens with a deal. You want to learn more? Give me a call. Leave a message. But that's what you need to be able to do. You don't need to be running down the street with a protest sign. I just took you through the initial process for finding a deal. If you find a deal, there will always be money for it. I'm not concerned about coming up with $300,000. I'm not concerned if it costs me $302,000 with closing costs and everything else. Not worried about it. If this property is worth close to $500,000 and I can pick it up for $280,000, holy crap. The wife will be booking a plane and we're heading down to the Bahamas or something. That's how you make equity. I didn't have to walk through the street with a sign. I didn't have to burn anything. I didn't have to break any friggin' windows. I didn't have to demand equality. I don't give a shit about equality. If you think you're better than me, fine. You're better. I'm going to buy this deal. I'm going to look to close on this deal. Sure, there may be people watching this who say, wow, that's a great deal. I'll take it myself. That's fine. Do you think that's the only one I'm looking at this week? No, it's not. I get these emails all the time. When people know you can close and people know you're for real, they throw deals at you. I didn't have to go anywhere. I got an email. I said, hey, Barry, can you take a look at this property? Okay. And you know what? If the guy wants to make a few bucks and he does have it under contract, if it makes real sense, he's going to make 8 or 10 grand just by showing me this deal. If he's already got it locked up for $298, I may go ahead and take this deal, get him his money, and then move on. That's what you can do. It's that simple. It may not seem simple to you because you're not schooled and tutored on this, but that's how you go from we're demanding equality to have a standing of equity. So stay tuned tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and take you through the next step. Maybe I might be doing one of those in real life videos and we're actually at the property. It could be because it's 6:13 right now. I'm going to have some dinner, talk to the wife, show her these numbers, have her get into the MLS, do some digging. And then once that happens and I have everything, all my due diligence in place, I have my folder, my deal set, my deal folder, then it's time to go ahead and really start digging into this. And again, these people send these things to me all day, all night. I probably get 6 to 10 emails a day with people saying, hey, take a look at this deal. Most of them are crap. Most of them people have already worked them and decided they didn't want to do them. But something like this, that's a deal. If the numbers are correct, if that company is really looking to dump this property in this market, remember, crystal ball time. We know what's going on. People aren't paying their bills. This is a deal. Stay tuned tomorrow. I'll show you more how I work this deal. Have a good evening.